Welcome back to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm Dear Darling. As you see what's going on a lovely island of Fawnhallow today in a late episode of Animal Crossing. You know, just normal thing of being like I was gonna do it and then I just didn't record it. But yeah, we're gonna, we're continuing the saga of talking about stuff from my trip to Venice. And I was actually thinking, because I was like, I'm not actually sure what else to talk about. There's not really much else to talk about because it's not like anything like sort of groundbreaking sort of happened, but and I'm not even that knowledgeable in Venice, so it's weird how I managed to milk my birthday for even more conversation than I did necessarily this holiday. But anyway, I guess this holiday was more of an unwinding thing, that's why. But anyway, good evening everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, it's 9:55 p.m. on Monday, September 26, 2022. Yeah, what was I? Oh yeah, I was going to talk about glassblowing because in Venice, Venice is sort of like, I don't know what it's called. Like it's a river-based city. There's like a name for it, but it's not. I guess it's kind of coastal, but it's like it's got like waters instead of like canals instead of like rivers and things like that. Oh, I was going to be like, I'm not sure if it can be considered an island city, but apparently it's built on 118 small islands, so I guess it does count as an island city. But yeah, one of the islands it has, so there's like two like popular islands. Well, it's got the main like Venice area, and then it's got one called Burano and one called Murano. I don't remember which way around it is, but I think it's Murano is the one which is the glassblowing island. Burano there's not really much to say about. It's like a fishing village, but or like the houses are like super brightly coloured because apparently that was they painted back in the day. They painted the houses really bright colours to make sure that fishermen could actually find the houses in like dark and dreary nights or whatever. But apart from that, there's not really much to say else about that island. It's just like it looks pretty. Is it Murano? Let's see, Burano. Yes, that's Murano. And Murano is, actually, that's sort of another conversation topic, but we'll talk about that tomorrow, clearly. I forgot what I was going to say. Murano is the glassblowing island because it is a popular thing, or not, maybe not a popular thing necessarily, but a well-known thing in Venice. Glassblowing is an art form which is quite popular. I keep saying the word popular. Quite well renowned, I suppose is a word, in Venice, and Murano is kind of like the home of it, as I understand it. And glassblowing is kind of a cool thing, you know. I think all sort of like artsy craftsy. I'm not sure you call glassblowing artsy craftsy, but like any sort of like craft. What hobby I always find particularly interesting. Some I find more interesting than others. I tend to have like a preference to things which tend to be smaller, more intricate, delicate, rather than necessarily big mechanical things. So, you know, like metalworking, woodworking's not, I'm not so interested in, but, you know, like whitesmithing, glassblowing seems kind of interesting, and then like, you know, plushie making's at the top there for me. But I already said my bits and pieces about that quite recently as well, but glassblowing is quite a big thing, and we didn't actually go see any sort of like glassblowing demonstrations of that sort of thing. I mean, I peeked around like the corner at a few of them, that sort of thing, but you know, instead we just sort of browsed the wares on that island, and it was just kind of really cool, you know. I guess what I should really say is that it's kind of incredible, like how like intricate a load of like the glass things actually are. They obviously are quite difficult to probably actually make. Well, you know, I say that I don't technically know if that's true. I just kind of assumed, but they're very sort of delicate. Glass is obviously a very sort of delicate material to be working with. Even like, I don't know, tempered glass is quite delicate if you like hit it on the wrong side and what have you. And it was just pretty cool to see basically everyone, all the craftsmanship that goes into it, because like in Murano is kind of like, you know, well, the professionals are, I assume, for glassblowing, and so seeing the stuff they create is pretty crazy, because on the main island of Venice themselves, there's a lot of like glassware sort of stores where people sell glass like figurines of certain things which have been, I assume, sort of mass produced by, probably still by the people like the professionals in Murano, but they're sort of like, they're not like one-off art pieces. They're sort of just like ones that maybe they practice how to do a certain thing, or they just like make 50 or 100 of them or something, and then just like ship them off to sell. Maybe they're actually made in a factory. I legit don't know. Not to say that they aren't still pretty cool to look at. I think glass little objects are still, you know, one of the prettiest ones, because glass has a very nice property of being kind of translucent, and refracting light is very pretty. In my opinion, you know, your mileage might vary, but going to Murano itself, it's cool to see like all these designer things, which are like one-off and actually sort of designer pieces. I will say, but certainly are repeating sort of thematics when it comes to what sort of things are created in glassware form. Like, what is, it's like this random hair on my table which can't, it's like stuck on something, I can't seem to get off. What, it's like, what is going on? Is it like the power of tension? It's wrapped itself around my headphone cord. I don't know. But anyway, like there's a lot of repeating mechanics. Like jellyfish is quite a common one. I think turtles were quite common. Cats was incredibly common. Probably by far and away the most common animal. Dogs being a close second. And you might be like, why do you have such a knowledge about which animals are are the most common and which ones aren't most common? Well, the thing is, you know, as my namesake goes, dear darling, I tend to quite like deers. So I was like, I want to buy like a glasswork thing to actually bring back home as a souvenir. Because I like souvenirs, and you know, I don't travel like all the time. So being able to bring something as a sort of keepsake back, not necessarily keepsake, because I think like photos are more of a keepsake, but being able to bring back something more symbolic, physically symbolic of a holiday, isn't sort of like a nice reminder. And I tend to like deer, so most of the time I try and get a plushie, and I'll try and bring a plushie home, even better if it's one of like an animal which is particularly famous. Oh, Leif's gone. He leaves at 10 o'clock, I didn't know that. Even better if it's an animal which is particularly famous or well known in that country, like perhaps a national animal or something. That's often like a hard sort of thing to, you know, finesse. You know, having not only like a high quality, good plushie, which I like, which is also representative of a country and possibly even a national animal. That's like a very small intersection. I'm not sure how many times I've done it. Like I've definitely done it with like pandas in China. I don't even know what the national animal of Japan is. Isn't it like the heron? National animal Japan. Macaque? What? National symbols of Japan? Japan does not have a designated national animal. I would have assumed it would be that red crane, the red heron, and possibly a tanuki. National symbols of Japan. So we don't have an official one. National animal is a Japanese macaque. Monkey. Oh, or a koi fish. That's actually quite a good representative one as well. Green. It's a green pheasant. Is a national bird. What? Really? That's honestly kind of mind blowing. Well, obviously I haven't done it for Japan, but anyway, sorry, I'm getting a little bit distracted. I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, but I've been to Venice before, and at that time was the time I was trying to get plushies, like in all the countries I visited. I don't actually know if I succeeded. I don't think I did on that trip. But I just, the only thing I remember is like it was incredibly difficult to find anywhere selling like reasonably okay plushies. Like plushies were basically like never sold in any of Venice shops. And I did find one shop which did sell plushies, but it was closed on that holiday. And the same thing happened on this holiday, you know. Found one shop, it sold plushies. It was probably the same shop. It was also closed. So I was like, it's not really a big thing. So anyway, I tried to find this glasswork deer statue to bring home. Now, the only requirements to me were it was deer and I liked what it looked like. And it's shocking how few deers there were. Like, we probably passed nearly, like, over 50 or something shops or something over the course of the entire holiday. And, like, there were so few deers, like, ever. Like, even in the mass-produced ones, it was just, like, cats, dogs, huge amounts of birds. And just, like, really random animals, like crabs, lobsters, scorpions. I'm trying to think what else. There was snakes. There's frogs. Frogs were actually quite cute. Rabbits were really common as well. And it's just like, why is no one making deer? And like the first time I saw a deer, I wasn't even sure if it was particularly a deer, because it was a deer with an incredibly long neck, and it looked so incredibly strange. It's probably how I describe it. Like, the reason I want deer is, like, you know, deers can look both incredibly, like, silly, big with their skittery-ishness, and also they can look very elegant with, you know, the sort of, like, graceful leaping and bounding. Oh, on the Star Island. I think. Is this what the Star Island looks like? It's difficult to tell because this time we're actually playing at nighttime, so we didn't see the sort of transition from daytime to nighttime. But yeah, so the first day we saw was very, very weird looking. It had a very like sort of weird neck, which was fine. It's meant to be, I suppose, a long neck to make it look elegant and all that. But then it also like its eyes looked incredibly strange, and its like sort of its body like pose was very weird. And I was like, I'm not really feeling that one. Let's see if we can find another one, because it didn't take that long to find a deer. So it was sort of like, we'll probably find another deer at some point. And then it took ages to find any other deer. Like it took ages to find any deer, like even a repeat in the shops. You might be like, weren't you on the island on Murano? Shouldn't you have been like finding deers left, right and centre? I actually couldn't find a deer on Murano. To be fair, I didn't go to every single shop, because I was like, if I don't find it, I don't find it. It wasn't something I was more seriously considering. It was just sort of like, if I see one which I like, I'll buy it on Murano. But yeah, I did actually see something deer related on Murano, but it was a lamp. It was a lamp of basically a stag lamp, like a stag's head or something, which it was pretty cool. But then I was like, I don't really know if I want that. And I looked at a price tag, and it was like €300, and I was like, I don't want that. I don't have €300 to randomly spend on a cool looking sort of like deer lamp. So sorry about that deer lamp. But I suppose if you also want a deer related paraphernalia, and it's got to be glass related, and it's from Murano, and you're going to Murano in the next sort of like, I don't know, week or month, perhaps check out that shop. But a lot of the Murano things were like very high quality sort of like designer-esque things, which were like big sort of like set pieces that you would have in like a home or something, like this massive jellyfish thing, which like €80. It's like, it's not what I want. I want like something just like small to put on like my desk. It was like a little deer, and hopefully it looks kind of cute or graceful, one of the two. So that was the first deer we found. Eventually found another type of deer. It was also very strange. It basically, how I describe it is, it kind of looked like it was meant to be a dog, but then they just turned it into a deer by putting antlers on it and giving it spots on its back, is how I describe it. It didn't look it looked very chubby for a deer. It's probably how I'd describe it, which might have just been the style, but I was like, I'm not particularly fond of it. But I did like how cute and small they were, so I was like, maybe I'll do it if I could literally find no others. So anyway, we spent like most of the day looking, not like actively looking. It was been like the last day we had kind of done basically everything, so we were sort of just vibing and looking around. And then I just suggested to my family, we're like, why don't we like try and find a deer? Let's go peruse some shops. And then I went to search up like the actual big like glass shops where the main place of Venice, and I looked into the windowsill, and I was like, boom, look, there's an actual deer there. It's a little bit more, I don't know how, like a silly looking deer. It's basically sort of like leaning down trying to drink from the water, I assume. But it has a sort of style of elegance, and I quite liked its design. Or maybe my standards were lowered after spending so long trying to like look in every shop window trying to find a deer and never finding one. But I was like, okay, there's two glass shops here. Might as well check this one and check the other one and see if we can actually find a deer. Check the other one. The other one was basically a designer glass store. Nothing basically in my price range. So I was like, okay, let's go buy that deer. And yeah, it's got very tiny legs. Like I'll bring it now. I put it on my windowsill, which I'm not sure is the best place to put these sort of things, because I think they lose their colour if you leave them in the light too long. But here we go. Well, I mean, I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's a long-looking Bambi. Its eyes look okay. I would say the eyes are a little bit discoloured. It's probably what is a little bit of a problem with it, but it's got a very strange sort of like bent back shape. Like it's sort of like the deer is unusually long, but I thought it looked kind of cute. Its actual head shape looked actually like a deer, as opposed to the others, which the other one looked kind of like a abstract. Like what it looked like? The other one looked like kind of like a chilan, which is like a Chinese sort of like dragon goat. I can't remember what dragon horse. I can't remember what combination is. And the other deer looked like kind of like a sausage dog. So this one actually unmistakably a deer. So I quite liked it. But yeah, and I would have thought like a glass deer, crystal deer would have been like a sort of go-to. Glass is a very sort of elegant looking material, which fits to the deer's aesthetics, I suppose. But also it's very easily shattered. It's fragile. Just like a deer's like can just be very incredibly skittish at any time. I don't know, glass deer. If I just search a glass deer, maybe, yeah, like these sort of things. That's what I had in mind. That's such a strange one. Like this first one on Etsy is kind of what I would say it looks like, except for it looked like the one I have is quite a bit longer. I don't know why they're sort of like all chained together. It's a bit strange. Etsy's got some good stuff though. Glass deer. If I search on Etsy, there's probably some really nice designer ones. What's this? This is a drinking glass with a deer on it. I assume this deer is a character. Another clear glass deer, like Oh, this is some really pretty standing stag in trees curve. That's like really pretty. I don't know what I'd do with it, but I really like this design. Little glass deer figurines. Maybe just deers are just incredibly hard to make. Maybe because some of these also look a little bit like silly, is what I'd say. I just wanted like I had a picture of in my mind what I wanted it to look like, and it's so very elegant with its like it's very like elegant, like perhaps long, elongated, a little bit curvy, like the swan one I can see right now, but like as a deer, like that same sort of energy. But maybe deers are just hard to create. I don't know. I'm not an expert in glass blowing, so I don't really know what it's like. Like this one looks incredible, but probably it's incredibly expensive. This one looks quite nice as well. His eyes are absolutely horrifying. No, hold on, that one's beautiful. That's what I had in mind. Vintage blown glass deer doe fawn figurine hand blown clear on Pinterest if you want to look it up. Very, very pretty. I should look at more stuff on Etsy. What if I just search deer things on Etsy? Let me get some more deer related paraphernalia. Like this standing stag in trees wave is so pretty. I just don't know what I would ever do with it. So it's 3D printed deers. Interesting. Anyway, so glass blowing. I mean, glass blowing is an interesting thing in general. Like, superheating up glass. Well, maybe not superheating. That's actually like a scientific term, isn't it? Heating glass up to a really high temperature, so it's like soft and malleable. You put it at an end of a sort of tube and you go, you blow into it, and end up like sort of shaping it, like inflating it like a balloon. Is that kind of how it works? That's a really cute like bag. Sweet deer cross body bag with adjustable strap. It's very sort of vintage is probably how I describe it. Kitsch. Oh, it even has kitsch in its title. There we go. Oh, these deer plushies are so cute. Very, very pretty deer paintings as well. What if I just did my own deer painting? Maybe I could do that. Don't need to buy one, just do it myself. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh yeah, glass blowing itself. I don't know. It's interesting how glass has a very interesting property. Isn't it like glass is technically always a liquid? It's just like its viscosity is so high it's basically solid. Or is that like only certain types of windows? It's something like only certain types of windows you can see it happening where the bottom of the window is thicker than the top of the window because it's like over the years it's been slowly sort of like sinking downwards. I don't know how true that necessarily is, but I'm trying to think of like a media property I would like to get like an Etsy sort of thing on. Well, like Night in the Woods. That probably has some cool stuff. It's always amazing that people can sell like merchandise of media properties that they don't own. How does that work? Surely that's not legal. Anyway, I guess that's not really, if they're doing it, maybe it's sort of like a thing that people turn a blind eye to. Anyway, that's not really the point. What was the point? Did I have a point? Glassblowing. Oh yeah, glassblowing. It's certainly one of the more impressive looking crafts. I'm not gonna say it's the most impressive because I think blacksmithing has to take that cake. Like blacksmithing looks like just like whoa. You look at it and you go like that's just like hardcore. I don't know how hardcore necessarily blacksmithing is, and we probably wished a bonus star enough to actually get all the bonuses. I don't know quite how hardcore blacksmithing actually is. Never done it, but it certainly looks very visually impressive, doesn't it? It's heated iron. It's like red hot, giant hammer on anvil, bash, 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 sparks flying, giant furnace, whoosh, and dip it in the water, and the water goes bubble, 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 steam. It's a terrible onomatopoeia, bubble, 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 bubble. But you know what I mean, right? Like very, not technically impressive, very visually impressive. I guess glassblowing's kind of up there as well, but glass is a bit more fragile than the metals that you work with, necessarily in ironworking or blacksmithing. Glassblowing. I guess there's also a cool sort of like technical skill appreciation of it, of watching someone actually like blow it, and it's very satisfying to watch. With how liquidy the sort of glass behaves like. It kind of looks like honey, which might be a bit weird to say. Yeah, I don't know. Glass is just a very pretty sort of glass is a very pretty sort of material. So you can do some very cool things with it. You can make cool jellyfish, cool water things. Oh yeah, there's a lot of these glass balloons, which obviously don't float because, you know, they're glass. But there are a lot of them on sale. What do I just search? Like Murano glass blowing in Murano glass, and I can see which of these things I also saw. Exclusive Venetian glass, like this pretty cat thing. Like cats were pretty cool. But there's a very common thing of having like a cat trying to like pour into a goldfish bowl, trying to like get a goldfish, and I was like, that's pretty cute. I mean, that was actually my backup. If I couldn't find a deer which I liked, I'd be like, I'm gonna get one of those cat things. They have very pretty like cups and bowls, expensive, mind you. Expensive probably for a reason, because a lot of them I'd imagine are kind of like handmade or whatever. But I was looking at a lot of them, just being like, wow, these are so pretty. Like, I don't like. There's one set I saw which was gorgeous. I wish I took a picture of it. It was like black and white. Actually, I probably didn't take a picture because you're not allowed to take pictures, obviously, because they're kind of like, they don't want people to copyright ideas. It was like black and white, sort of swirly, sort of glass like cup and plate set, and I was like, it's gorgeous. I would, if I like, you know, was moving into a house, it's like I need a new like fancy decorative like glass set or something. That would be the one I would buy. It was so pretty. But I'm not, so, you know, it wasn't really in the market for that sort of thing. They had like, oh yeah, this is a very common thing as well, these like sort of mosaic-esque patterns for the glass things. And you know what the best about it is, it was a lot of the thing, the restaurants in Venice had these sort of like glass things as the glassware, you know, that you actually drank from. Very pretty. This jellyfish ring, very common. There's a cool display I saw, because like you get these like really tiny fish made out of glass or whatever, where in the display they had like this giant glass bowl and then like filled it up with water and put all the fish in, suspended on like fishing wires to make it look like a fish. Oh, hello, Leif. I didn't know you went in here after hours. To make it look like a fish is swimming around. I don't even remember what Leif's voice was. Hey, I'm happy to see you. I'm just giving you Basil's voice, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes when I'm watering plants, I wonder what would happen if I accidentally gave them coffee. Would they be happy if they got a wider variety of beverages? But in truth, plants probably simply wouldn't grow on a diet of coffee. They're still such mysterious things. I don't know why I'm giving you an American accent. Not a good one at that. Thinking about which seeds and starts to bring with me each time. Starts to bring with me each time I visit is a lot of fun. It makes me so happy to see folks growing all sorts of lovely plants. I can't do an American accent. Coffee's even more delicious after a hard day's work pulling weeds. This museum has so many wonderful things to see. I love all the happy greenery of a bug exhibit. I like looking at the fossils and imagining what kind of amazing plants were growing back then. What do you think plants and flowers will look like in 100 years? Honestly, I have no idea, but, you know, I imagine some will still stay the course. You can tell a lot about someone by how they grow and arrange their flowers, you know. I don't have any flowers, so what does that say about me? When I see Brewster making his coffee with such care, I think coffee and plants aren't so different. I mean, I guess, you know, coffee plants are a thing. If you put your whole heart into making something, that something is bound to come out beautiful. You know what? That's very beautiful, Leif. Words to say in the first place. Raindrops landing on leaves has gotta be the most calming sound in the world. It sounds even better at night. Oh, I didn't know you... Oh, no, you must only have nighttime dialogue because you only... Do you only appear after nighttime? Because it's quite fortunate we came here so late. If you decorate the inside of your house with flowers and greenery, you never have to go outside. I mean, you should still go outside sometimes for vitamin D. Unless I guess you live, like, in the Arctic Circle, then, you know, I guess there's times of year when you literally can't. The cool weather this time of year is perfect for walking. Plus coffee is well suited to long fall nights. Fall nights? I can't figure out how to say it using accents. Okay, you leaving your dialogue? I can feel the seasons changing deep inside when I hear the fallen leaves rustling in the wind. And it makes Bruce's coffee taste all the better. Is it autumn-related dialogue? Okay, yeah. It seems like your dialogue's leaving now. Okay, well, if we ever play at 10 p.m. again and, you know, Leif is in town, we should get to talk to him again. I honestly didn't realise. Oh, there's a lot of chandeliers as well, which are very pretty, very, very abstract. Oh, but birds I actually think were one of the coolest things done out of glass. I don't know, I guess birds is translated quite well. Birds and like a bit of a water sort of thematics translated very well to a glass blowing, I thought. There's also a lot of abstract things. There are a lot of clowns, which is weird. I'm not like scared of clowns or anything, but it was, you know, it wasn't really to my taste, and I couldn't imagine sort of going and being like, man, you know what I want? I don't want a picture of a weird looking like Venetian clown statue. I mean, some people might be like that. They'd probably look at it and be like, whoa, radical. Fair enough. Well, more power to you. I just sort of looked at it and went, I don't really want that. Anyway, I'm going to round up this episode here. So if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Day Darling. Any likes, comments, subscriptions, shares are greatly appreciated. Join me Day Darling Discord. Follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye bye for now.